The ultra strange hobbies of the ultra rich. I think it's become obvious now more than ever that some rich people have really strange hobbies, and in some cases, they're downright evil. So in this video, I wanted to highlight a few of the most interesting cases where rich people are just doing absolutely weird stuff. The entries on this list range from wholesome to interesting to diabolical. It's kind of a mixed bag, so buckle up. And in case you're new, this video will get darker as the video goes on. Jeff Bezos. You may know him as the CEO and entrepreneur born in 1964. I know I made that joke in the last video, but it's still funny. What puts him on today's list? Well, two reasons actually. One, that's kind of wholesome and funny. The other, that's kind of strange, but in my opinion, kind of cool. At a conference in 2017, Amazon CEO Jeffrey Bezos admitted that he used to eat an entire pack of Pillsbury biscuits for breakfast every morning, with butter, of course. Supposedly, this biscuit-eating bandit had a bit of a problem, and borderline an addiction to eating these fluffy little pastries. He also mentioned that his wife made him quit and encouraged him to do so by simply reading the label, which he says, and I quote, "Honestly, that wasn't even a concept for me," which I guess just goes to show, when you're on that grind, you will eat anything. I'll throw the ingredients on screen for you to check out. If you're into nutrition, you'll get a good laugh out of these ingredients. One thing I do want to point out is the sheer amount of calories in these biscuits. Each individual biscuit has 170 calories, and each container has 8 biscuits, meaning that for breakfast alone, Bezos was eating over 1,300 calories, not including the butter, and that was just one meal. And of course, it was primarily consisting of carbs and salt. He did eventually clean up his act though, because this is his before and after. There was a lot of other things at play here, but I mean, at least one of the differences was he wasn't eating a can of biscuits every morning. If you're watching this thinking, that's not weird, I do that every morning, well, at least you have something in common with a billionaire, I guess. But another interesting and rather strange project that he's committed to is also his Millennium Clock. Bezos has invested $42 million into a clock that ticks once a year that is set to keep time for the next 10,000 years. The clock advances every 100 years, and the cuckoo part of this literally cuckoo clock will come out in 10,000 years. This clock is located in a mountain on Bezos' property in Texas. And personally, as a watch nerd, I find this kind of cool. But spending $42 million on a clock in the ground is kind of hilarious, and in my opinion, a bit strange. This next name on the list is a name I'm sure you've heard a lot recently, and I'm honestly kind of surprised how early they are in the list. But out of all of his interesting hobbies I'm sure that exist, this one I found the most interesting. I'm talking about Donald Trump and his obsession with golf. It's no surprise that old men love golf. It's no surprise that old rich men love golf. So it's no surprise that Donald Trump is a huge golf fan, especially considering he owns multiple golf courses. You may be asking, where's the strange hobby? Well, you may or may not know, Trump was previously the president. And during his time in office, he played an estimated 261 rounds of golf, which is essentially one full round every 5.5 days. This is either going to strike you as not a surprise or very surprising. And to me, I found this to be a very interesting statistic, mainly because I'm under the impression that being the president is a very important and very busy job, including travel, meetings, press, and much more. So the fact that this guy was able to fit in 18 holes of golf every 5.5 days on average is pretty insane. And if that's not weird enough for you, just look at his drive. It works and it's better than mine, but it definitely looks a little goofy. And in case that isn't strange enough for you, this man has been reported to drink 12 cans of Diet Coke a day, which to some of you may seem insane and to others may seem relatable. Regardless of how you feel, these are only tame examples and we're about to get into some weirder ones. This is a bit off topic, but I recently found out that I was still being charged every month for Xbox Game Pass. And I don't even own an Xbox. Yeah, I'm confused too. Although this specific situation is a bit strange, I think we have all found out that we've been paying for subscriptions way longer than we should have, which is why today's sponsor, Rocket Money, is here to help. I love using Rocket Money because it safely and securely identifies reoccurring charges and cancels unwanted subscriptions for you. You can even cancel them from within the app in just a couple of taps. No need to worry about hopping on customer service calls. And if you have phone anxiety like me, it definitely helps. Rocket Money has helped save its customers up to $740 a year when you use all of the app's premium features, and it has helped people save over $500 million in canceled subscriptions. The Rocket Money app is sleek and easy to use. And if you're done getting overcharged for subscriptions you don't use anymore, go to rocketmoney.com/trustmebro or click the link in my description to get started for free. Stop spending money on things you don't use and save even more money with their premium features. Thank you, Rocket Money, for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the weirdness. Let's turn this up a notch. Mark Zuckerberg. Did you know that Mark Zuckerberg kills animals with his bare hands? Hopefully not, because that's not fully true. But he does have a slaughterhouse where he is obsessed with getting cows drunk. I'm not kidding. He opened up a beef farm in Hawaii to produce the highest quality beef known to man. And according to him, the best way to do this is by feeding them macadamia nuts and beer. I don't know anything about raising beef, and I don't even eat meat, but I think there is something interesting about giving farm animals alcohol. These are either the happiest cows on the planet or simply living the life of a divorced dad. Regardless, I'm moving on because this next one is wild. Steve Jobs. To really set the scene for this next hobby or habit, I want you to close your eyes and visualize. You're in your massive office overlooking the city. You just got off a meeting and you just lost a major deal. You're upset, you're stressed out, and you're looking for a way to calm down before getting back to work and winning the next deal. If you were Steve Jobs, your next move would be to go into the bathroom, take off your shoes, and dip your feet into the toilet to simply relax. I know I like to say a lot of funny things, but this is a rumor that is really well known and considered to be true. When I first heard it, I didn't believe it either, and it was also one of the inspirations for this entire video. But this claim of Steve Jobs bathing his feet in the toilet water of the Apple restrooms to de-stress is an authorized account in the biography of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Steve Jobs was an innovator. He was a shrewd negotiator. He was reportedly not very nice in the office setting, and supposedly he enjoyed a bit of toilet water to calm his nerves. Maybe that's why he was so wound up all the time, because if my only way of decompressing and de-stressing was dipping my feet in the toilet, I think I'd be pretty upset too. And for Jobs' sake, I really hope that he at least checked to make sure that the previous Apple employee didn't leave him a special surprise. That is disgusting, but I'm leaving it in. Taylor Swift. Some people love to fly. Some people are scared to fly. And some people fly to get lunch. I'll be honest, excessive flying is something that everybody on this list is very likely guilty of. I haven't confirmed, so I won't say is, but very likely. To make this video fun and entertaining, I'm gonna pin it on one person who's kind of a meme for it. Taylor Swift. In 2023 alone, Taylor Swift took over 170 flights. And within that year, over those 170 flights, across Swift's 2 private jets, she flew a total of 178,000 miles, which is equivalent to flying around the entire globe 7 times. Which, when you put it that way, honestly doesn't sound that much, but the number of flights and sheer miles is pretty crazy. On top of this, she caught a lot of backlash when she took a 13-minute flight from one part of St. Louis to the other. Literally 13 minutes. And assuming there was only mild traffic, driving the same route would have only been about 30 minutes, saving a total of 17 minutes by flying. I get why flying is popular. When you're busy and important and have stuff to do, it makes a lot more sense to fly places than take alternative means. But it's just crazy to see how far this will go and how often people will fly and how short of flights people are willing to take. At this point, I'm convinced if Taylor could take a flight to cross the road, she probably would. I'll admit, this example isn't really that crazy at all. It's pretty common, but I feel like we needed a bit of a palate cleanse after Mr. Jobs' toilet fiasco. And while we're on the topic of live performers, I have something that you're either gonna find really cool or really odd. Jack Ma. Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba, the Chinese e-commerce behemoth, is actually a dedicated live performer and a Michael Jackson impersonator. It is well documented that at the annual Alibaba parties, Jack Ma will not only dress up as Michael Jackson, but also perform as Michael Jackson on stage for the entire company. He's only impersonated Michael Jackson once, to my knowledge, but he has consistently performed for the company every time with passion. It's cool to see. Imagine you just worked for this random company. Like, imagine if you worked for Amazon, you worked in the warehouse, and then there was like this Amazon Christmas party. You're like, okay, I'll go. And then you go there, and then Bezos is on stage pretending to be Drake. Maybe not Drake, and then Bezos is on stage just doing an Elvis impression. Honestly, I respect the hustle. And this just goes to show, no matter how old you are or how much money you have, rock stars are always cool. And while we're talking about rock stars, let's discuss somebody who was, at least for a while, married to one and probably thinks they are one too. I'm talking about Elon Musk. And why is he so high up on this list? What exactly did he do that was so diabolical? What is his sinister hobby? Well, that should be obvious. He is a goth girl enthusiast. I know, illegal in most states, and and a crime that is in most cases unrecoverable. But when you're the richest man in the world, you can survive the goth girlfriend experience, something not many of us are able to do. On a serious note, Musk is also on the forefront of billionaires that are now astronauts and literal space agencies. Musk obviously has SpaceX, but he's not alone in his space endeavor. Richard Branson, who has Virgin Galactic, and Jeff Bezos, who has Blue Origin, are keeping Musk company in the billionaire spaceman category. And yeah, there's others, but these are the main ones, for sure. I totally forgot to mention this earlier too, but Bezos is literally like that space cowboy meme from Family Guy. Like, look at this picture from Family Guy and then look at Bezos. Like, dude, the cowboy hat in the spacesuit is honestly iconic. And totally laughable too. As strange as Musk's obsession is with occupying Mars, his company SpaceX is honestly doing a lot of good. And currently, at the time of making this video, they're the reason why astronauts are able to come home. Due to Boeing's latest failure, astronauts have been stranded on the International Space Station way longer than anticipated. And if SpaceX wasn't in the picture, these stranded astronauts would have to wait a lot longer than they currently are. Love these guys or hate these guys, I think that having a focus on space travel is important and noble. You can definitely argue that attention can be put elsewhere, and you're not wrong, but I don't think that nullifies the importance of this as well. He also basically views having kids as a hobby and likes living in a tiny box, so yeah, goth girls will do it to you, man. It's also been reported that he just skips breakfast and eats a Mars bar, which I definitely think is a metaphor, but also goes to show that this dude literally lives like a child. If I just explained his habits, you'd probably assume he was a child. Like, think about it. If I said, hey, I'm gonna introduce you to somebody who eats candy for breakfast, likes living in a small box, likes to jump up and down, and laughs like a maniac, you'd probably assume I was about to introduce you to a toddler. But nope, he's actually the richest man in the entire world. For our next few entries, I'm gonna be easing us into some less funny and more serious topics. I'll start this transition with Bill Gates, someone who's done a lot of good things and a lot of questionable things too. Something he's really known for is his computer skills. Something that he's not necessarily known for is his use of his computer skills back in his school days. Bill Gates is reported to have actually hacked and tweaked the code on his computer's scheduling program to put him in all girls classes to increase his chances of getting dates. View this how you want, but it's definitely odd at the very least. And manipulative wouldn't be an unfair word to use. He likely resorted to this because his other methods of swooning girls probably didn't work that well. For the longest time, his party trick that he did on national television quite often was just jumping over office chairs, which is kind of cool, especially for somebody of his physique and, I guess, career path. But it's definitely not that cool where it's worth doing every opportunity you get. Cool gimmick, but I don't know if it was getting him all the ladies he wanted. I think he was better off sticking to dancing. Just look at him busted down at Best Buy. That's totally not somebody who looks kinda like him. That's definitely him. And with that, we're on to our final entry. And I know this video has been really fun and light up until this point with a lot of jokes, but this last entry is no laughing matter. You saw the thumbnail, and I'm sure most of you were waiting for it. Our last entry is Sean Combs, also known as P. Diddy. Without going into detail, because I honestly don't think it's in good taste to go into details on such a serious case in a video that I've kept pretty lighthearted, but I did think it was worth mentioning the sheer depravity of this specific individual and also others in his position. In recent news, there has been a lot of famous examples of rich and powerful people taking advantage of people and doing unspeakable things. And I wish that this is something that was unheard of, but unfortunately it's not. And although I can't begin to wrap my head around why somebody would ever want to do this to people, it is theorized that these people crave power. They crave control. The egomaniac tendencies that has allowed them to create success is also the same mindset that is allowing them to justify hurting and abusing people, which is disgusting. This isn't something that's exclusive to billionaires or rich people, but when this sort of despicable behavior is participated in amongst the elites, it's definitely at a different level where it can go on for much longer, affect more people, and be hidden much better, and fought much better in court. I could easily joke about the 1,000 bottles of baby oil and the freak-offs talked about in this case, but I think the situation is much more serious than that. And if you're looking for information on it, honestly, this isn't the video for it, but it was definitely worth mentioning, especially with how current it is. Do I just believe that everybody who's rich and is a billionaire or is ultra wealthy instantly evil? I don't. I honestly don't. What I do believe, though, is that money allows people access and resources like nothing else. And if you are an evil or depraved or degenerate person, this money will allow you to fulfill your darkest fantasies. And as we saw on this list, it's not extremely unheard of, but there is still so much good in this world, and there are so many people that do good with their money and have earned their money doing good things. And if you liked this video about rich people, you may like this video about the richest person in every state in the United States of America. It's a great watch. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, trust me, bro.